So Asmongold has received yet another ban on Twitch. We're going to take a look at exactly what he said. It's been going around the whole week. Kulinski's responded to it, so we're going to take a look at that, because that's usually funny when Kulinski just unloads on Asmongold. So it's a 2-week ban, just to spoil it for you. Same sort of ban as he got when he made that statement about inferior cultures deserving genocide. Which, after that, he claimed, you know, oh, he'd really seen the humanity of Muslims now. After all of his Muslim friends reached out to him, he suddenly saw the humanity of Muslims and of brown people, and didn't want them all to just die anymore. And he was going to go traveling, guys. He was going to clean his house, and he was going to go traveling. That's what he said. He hasn't gone traveling, as far as I can tell. And he's just had some alleged... I won't even say that. He just had some woman at his house recently, and she said that his house was a total state and there were shit stains all over the toilet. So I guess neither of those end up happening, and he still doesn't see brown people as human. As we will see here in this clip, where Asmongold is calling for the mass killing of children. Let's have a look.
Is shoot them, problem solved? That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just shoot them. Like, I've said this before. Like, I know that it might sound like, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I have no sympathy for doing that, and I would do that in a second. Because it's the right thing to do in the long term. You can never look at, in a very, very isolated incident, you could say, and there's always, this is emotional blackmail, right? Well, you can't shoot these people, they have kids with them. Well, then don't bring your kids. If you don't want to get shot, then don't bring your kids. It's really simple. You mean you'd shoot adults and deport the kids, right? Well, I'd shoot whoever. Yeah, I'd shoot whoever. I mean, if it's kids, women, men, anybody, just shoot them. They're going to stop coming over. Because if you don't do that, they'll use children and women as shields to get themselves over. And then they'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works. That's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals. They're savages. Absolute savages. Hamas tactics, yeah, terrorists. Of course you don't want to do that. Doesn't mean you want to do it.
It's all looped in together. He's talking about immigrants here, and he's like, yeah, it's Hamas tactics. It's Hamas tactics. He just literally sees, like, brown people as just like a bug race, basically. Like a hive mind bug race that will just throw their own at you to try and tear down your civilization. You just have to wipe them out. You just have to wipe them out. That's literally how he talks about it. And he sounds like such a low IQ, violent fucking degenerate. Truly, this is like actually just the talk of someone that should be in a cell. I'm not saying he's done anything that he should be tried for and sent to prison for. I'm saying the psychology is that of the sort of person who belongs in a cell for their entire life.
But you have to do what you need to do in order to enforce your borders, man. Like, that's the way it is. People are too emotional to see that. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like, it's... You can't make decisions that way. And I understand the way that I talk about this might be a little bit extreme. It might be a little bit, you know, unemotional. I wish we had more people like me. I do. I wish we had more, because we got too many pussies that are too worried about the optics.
Like, the whole thing is emotional. Asmongold could not, in any reasonable way, like, he can sit there and grandstand about it on his streams. He could not, in any reasonable way, actually work through, like, what issues is immigration causing? How bad are they? What's like the data on this? He could never, ever do that. Your entire position here is emotional. Your entire position here is driven by seeing some image of a bunch of brown people, or is driven by seeing some grooming gang report that does awful analysis of the numbers and then extrapolates out the worst town to be the entire country, and just fills the entire runtime with just unverified rape stories the entire way down. You know, that's what drives your positions, Asmongold, is emotion. You're not looking at it in some unemotional, detached way. Oh, yes, my detached, unemotional take is, we just have to shoot the children. No, you're actually just a loser fucking psycho who sits in his room and doesn't have any buy-in to the rest of the world. So you don't see any reason to preserve anyone's life. That's the obvious reality here is you're a miserable, depressed, anxious retard who let his mother die, and you're depressed about it all. You hate it all. You didn't spend enough time with your dad before he went either. You're fucking miserable, and you're just taking it out on everyone around you. And that has been apparent to anyone that has watched you for more than a year. Anyone that's paid any attention to you for more than a year can see exactly the path you've taken and just the degenerate, low IQ mindset you have. Where's the big Bungie tweets? Where are the big Bungie tweets about this guy and his mom? Did I put them in my Discord? Oh, thank you, Shookwise. So yeah, Big Bungie says, Let's see this. Obviously, right-winger, Big Bungie, right-winger. Damn, he got a taste for killing after he blew up his mother. This guy says, wait, what? And then Big Bungie says, Asmongold gave his mother a cigarette when she was on an oxygen machine. She took one puff and the whole thing blew up and she died in the explosion. So that's not what happened. This guy says, regardless of political opinion, that's gross and low. Bungie says, why? By his own moral code, his mother should have been forced into slavery for being an EBT pig. Again, speaking ill of the dead and an innocent in your hate. I don't Asmon either, but there's something seriously wrong with people so open and willing to talk about tragedy as if it's some kind of joke. I'll be honest, him lighting a cigarette next to her oxygen machine and blowing her in smithereens is objectively funny. It's like a hamster's death. So, Asmongold pushing it too far for even Restore supporting Big Bungie.
Something rather than the reality of it. The reality of it is that if you allow people to use kids as a shield to come over, they're going to use kids as a shield to come over. And that's going to cause a net increase of child exploitation, a net increase of child suffering. And it's better to just say nobody can come over and shoot anybody than try to create winning solutions for these people so they can take advantage of them by further exploiting those groups of people that you think you don't want to shoot. That's just how it is. You say you shoot kids? Yeah. No, that's. I mean, obviously that's what I said, right? I mean, like that's clearly like. I mean that's like I don't know why. Like, why would you repeat it to me as if I didn't say it? That's literally exactly what I said. That's the reasoning for it. That's my logic. That's exactly what I would do, and I wouldn't even have any question for it. Come on. Well, I'm gonna pull one more up. Keep the kids, deport their families. What do you think the kids do? The kids grow up and they resent you for supporting their families to turn into terrorists. No. You present a very specific scenario, just shooting into a crowd.
Yeah, all that Mexican terrorism in the United States, guys. All that Mexican terrorism.
Be kids too? Of course, because that's the reality. Because if you have kids in the crowd, then kids are going to get killed in the crowd. Then you're going to use the emotional weight of the kids getting killed in the crowd as a justification to not shoot the crowds. But you think that shooting the crowds is the correct option, which means that you would be okay taking the risk of killing the kids, which means that killing the kids is somehow acceptable, which means that doing that is not a big deal, and you'd be okay with it as well. You're ignoring how the sausage is made, because you don't want to feel bad about the outcome. But the reality is that any way that you logically deduce this reality, you will immediately come out with bad behavior. But the reality is that any way that you logically deduce this reality, you will immediately come out with bad behavior. You understand?
Yeah, Asmongold's like evil loner box. Like you don't even understand how shooting kids jobs work. You don't understand. It's like evil loner box. You know, like they weren't shooting kids. You don't even know how sniping jobs work. Asmongold's. You don't even know how shooting kids jobs work. You know, it's epic, guys.
You just created a human shield.
I waited the whole time, guys. I waited the whole time while my internet was dropping and reconnecting with that in my head, ready to say it. I hope that was worth it.
All I'm saying is don't pull the kids aside and shoot them if you had a choice.
I have an Ethernet cable. Thank you for the $5 though, Inch Personal. Huge appreciate it. $5.
Ethernet cable fund. Wilter flower emoji.
I don't think they should pull them aside. No one wants to feel bad about the outcome. Well, of course, I mean, like, yeah, actually, I don't care about feeling bad about the outcome.
Yo, thank you, Weedlemout. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Huge appreciated. Thank you. Oh, I didn't with the membership. Huge appreciated. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
At all. I care about feeling bad about that I did the wrong thing. This is the kind of guy that falls hook, line, and sinker for the Hamas propaganda because he can't see past kids. It's so sad, man. It's honestly so sad the amount of people that are emotionally captured by this.
Anyway. So, that's the Asmongold clip. Now, we had the Kyle Kulinski take on this, okay, guys? Let's pull that up. Let's see Kyle Kulinski's take.
Is shoot him, problem solved. That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot him.
Right to the point. We're 5 seconds in, he already said the thing. They should just fucking shoot them. Talking about the children of immigrants. That's great. That's awesome.
They're going to stop coming over. Because if you don't do that, they'll use children and women as shields to get themselves over. And then they'll put more women and children at risk because they know that they can use them as collateral so they can get more of themselves over. That's the way it works. That's the way an animal thinks, and these people are animals. They're savage.
Oh, no.
Absolute fucking savages.
The stupidity is literally off the charts. It's immeasurable. He's even dumber than I thought he was. I didn't have a high opinion of him before. My opinion of him now is even fucking lower. And why do I say that? Because he's calling others animals and savages as he's advocating for shooting children, for murdering kids. You're the animal. You're the savage.
I mean,
what would make somebody a barbarian, an animal, a savage? supporting stuff like murdering kids, murdering innocent people. And you literally just advocated for that. Could you imagine if an immigrant killed children of a U.S. citizen? He would say that's an animal, that's a barbarian, that's a savage. Of course he would. And in that scenario, it wouldn't be wrong if you're murdering kids. Anybody who murders kids in my book is an animal and a fucking savage and a barbarian. But it's amazing to me. He says the things back to back, doesn't realize it. You should kill these kids, but also these people are savages and barbarians and animals. They are not capable of objective, rational thought. They're not capable of holding themselves to this.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand. It's Asmongold's being totally dispassionate and unemotional. If only more people were so cold and logical like Asmongold.
Same standard that they hold others to. They're not capable. They have this thing in their head where they don't understand the concept of hypocrisy as it applies to them.
You can hate how these look, but it's got 300k views. So, I don't think substance should change anything. I'm going to be real.
Don't get it. They don't get it.
Seems to work.
And it's astonishing to see. It's like watching somebody struggle with a math problem that's like 2 + 2 = 4. And they sit there and they can't fucking figure it out, right? That's what it's like. That's what it's like. I can't, man. Anyway, this is here's one of your figureheads to the conservative movement out there, to the Republicans, to, the rising fascists. Here you go. This is your people. An unwashed guy with rats crawling all over him, with a fucking junkyard behind him, a fucking dump behind him, ranting about how, the others are filthy and they're degenerates and they're criminals and they're animals and they're barbarians and they're savages. When literally all of those things apply to him if you're willing to be even remotely objective about it.
Real. So yeah, Asmongold got banned for this, guys. Let's take a look at his video crying about his ban.
Hey guys, it's me again, and usually at this point I've already made like 2 or 3 other videos about why I got suspended on Twitch, and I've been farming this a lot, but unfortunately something that has nothing to do with Twitch at all actually took precedence over this, and that's why I haven't really made any comments or said anything on anywhere about any of this. And so first part of this video is going to be talking about that, and then the second part is going to be talking about the Twitch suspension. I got suspended for 2 weeks. I'll probably try to appeal it, see if I can get it down to a week. We don't really know. If not, maybe I'll stream on Kick or something. Maybe I'll just take a vacation. I'm not really sure. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, that's the TLDR. So about 3 or 4 days ago, because the day that I got suspended, I actually didn't even go live. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the day before that, I had a health symptom that was identical to my dad's health symptom before he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So this, I got really upset. I was freaking out. And so I'm laying in bed, I'm fucking, they looked at everything, they, basically, so that's pretty much what happened with me, a couple of days ago and a few days ago. That's why I even taken a day off that day. And so, this happens, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm such a relief. Now I don't have to feel bad about not going live, right? And so, anyway, I got suspended for 14 days.
It always seems to be the case with these big streamers. I'm actually happy I got banned. I'm actually totally fine with it.
So that's what happened. Wow.
Guys, it doesn't work, guys, okay? Getting me banned doesn't work. It doesn't upset me, okay?
Man has a health scare. This has never happened before in the history of humanity. But yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So, anyway, the second part is going to be about why I got suspended. So I got suspended because, and just to add some context, because this has been very editorialized on the on Twitter and everything like this. But basically what I said was that, so Ceuta, which is, and a little bit of geography here. So Spain is like on the top of the Mediterranean Sea. Strait of Gibraltar is like...
Yeah, this is about the Morocco-Spain immigration stuff,
Spain, right? And so underneath that is Morocco. And in the very, very tip of Morocco, there's a city that's owned by Spain. And it's been owned by Spain for hundreds of years. This isn't like something that's new. This isn't like a recent occupation. This has been going on for like, since before like it's like the Ottoman Empire time days, right? I don't know. I remember reading the date that it happened, but it was like literally hundreds of years ago. So they've had this city. It's called Ceuta for a long time. City has a population of about 80,000 people. And 40 to 60,000, obviously just by the nature of this, it's not really verified how many, random migrants just all came over in about basically 1 day's time into this small city. city. Now, this is, in my opinion, like in any other point in history, this would be viewed as a military invasion because, of course, the overwhelming majority of these people are military-aged men. And so what I said is that I think that if you have that many people pouring over your border and you just can't deal with it all, like you can look at the footage of this and it literally looks like it's World War Z. It looks like a battlefield, right? It's like a hell on earth type situation. There's trash everywhere.
About 3,000 to 5,000 remained after 2 days. So explain to me how this justified shooting them all, Asmongold. When it's totally feasible, clearly, to return the vast majority of them without any violence, why is it necessary to shoot their children? Explain that one, please, in a way that doesn't make you sound like a total low IQ psycho.
Everywhere and everything. I think I'm straight up said I think you should shoot these people, right? I mean, like, I believe that. I do. I mean, this is a violent military invasion into a city, and
no, it's not.
And after they got into the city,
it was not a violent military invasion. That's just false. That's just a lie. It's just a total lie.
Obviously, these people were smashing out windows. They were obviously, breaking into stores, stealing things out of stores. I saw, like, one video. It's always hard to know, like, what's real and what's not. But I saw a video, and it's like, if you ever watch Troy, like, whenever, like, a fucking Brad Pitt as Achilles, like, stabbed the dude in the neck at the beginning of the movie, that's, like, what happened. Like, one of these, like, migrants seemingly stabbed the random citizen in the neck with this knife, right? And they killed this person, I'm assuming, right? Or at least they're in critical condition. So basically the city is being terrorized by a mass invasion of military-aged migrants that have come over for, various different reasons. And people are saying that you couldn't do that because, well, there might be kids in the crowd. And my response to that is that you should shoot them anyway. You should do this anyway. And it doesn't matter really what the collateral damage is. You should defend your borders, especially when you're being invaded by such a massive force of people. So this never really was a conversation about, like, baseline immigration enforcement.
I can't find any reporting about migrants murdering anyone. I can't find a report of that.
Never about, like, using kids or anything like that. But the reality is that with a lot of these third world countries and a lot of their cultures in the world, if you use a Western frame of reference to look at the values and the morality of the third world people like this, you're going to render yourself blind. You will not understand their theory of mind. They don't look at things the way that you do. That's why Joseph Kony has his child army, and there was Kony 2012 and everything. That never really went away, by the way. It's still happening. It might not be necessarily him, but there's other ones that are just as bad, if not worse. So the problem...
Why are we talking about Kony, man? What?
The problem is that a lot of Westerners' morality is built off of the concept that everybody else thinks the way that we do, and unfortunately, that's not the reality. And so, what these people will do is that they will bring kids with them.
Talk about like as if there's just warlords roaming around Morocco. Okay.
They will use these kids as effectively human shields in order to invade the country and then take advantage of the people in the country. I view this a lot like a trolley problem, and so the reason what I mean by that is that basically you're choosing to stop the invaders here rather than creating a reward structure and an incentive structure around using kids, trafficking children, and effectively using them as political capital to fulfill an invasion's goal, which is to effectively take over this country. We're not take it over, right? But invade the city and then use the city as a way to get into mainland Spain and then disperse themselves all over Europe. This is, I think, a very bad thing, and I think it should be stopped by any means necessary. I think this is a horrible problem. A lot of the people that are coming over there, many of them could be criminals. We have no idea.
Shooting them is unnecessary, Asmongold. Shooting them is unnecessary because the vast majority have already been returned within days. So shooting them is actually totally unnecessary, you violent fucking imbecile. You just want to shoot children because they're brown.
Said Morocco emptied their prisons and let those people come over. I have no idea if they did that or not. I would assume many cases they did. That's what Russia's done apparently with Ukraine. And so I don't really think this is the first time this has ever happened. There's many precedents for this. A lot of people look at this from the perspective of human rights or something like this. And I find this to be one of the most malignant and pernicious abuses and inversions of morality that we have nowadays. And I'll explain why. Never once have I ever heard about the human rights or the privileges or, what's the right thing to do for all of the people in this city who are now having to be terrified in their homes, boarding their houses up. You have these migrants banging on their doors, smashing their windows, destroying their businesses, potentially violating them, attacking them, and doing whatever they can to these people. You never, not once in my entire life have I ever heard about the concept of their human rights. I never hear about the people who have been the victims of these policies and this lax enforcement, whose lives have been effectively destroyed, and then for some reason we never think about them. We don't care about them. The only people that we care about are these invaders that are going around trying to take advantage of the country.
They have human rights, Asmongold, and those human rights are addressed through the proper channels. They call the police, and that can be addressed through law enforcement in the courts. Now, the reason why people bring up human rights when you talk about shooting children is because none of that's present, actually.
I think this is a profound inversion of morality. I don't think that any country has an obligation to take in migrants. I don't think any country has an obligation to let people invade their borders. And I think that at the capacity that was happening with Cuba, I do think that you should use lethal military force to repel a literal fucking invasion. Keep in mind, this is a city of 80,000 people.
A literal
40,
invasion.
60,000 additional people tried to come in one day. That's an invasion, and I think they should use guns to stop it. And I'm not sorry for...
How does proportion define invasion? I don't see that as in any way a relevant condition for what an invasion is.
Saying that. And it doesn't matter what you try to use as, emotional blackmail or something like that. Fundamentally, all of these different tools that these people use will never actually be applied in a universal way. These are the same people whose ideology leads them to thinking that 6-year-olds can transition to another gender. They're the ones that lead themselves to, defending Hamas and terrorist propaganda, because terrorists like to use kids as human shields as well, because they like to shoot rockets from schools. The reason why
Asmongold seeing me as dumb and scattered as Tectone in this video. This is rough, man. This is rough.
Is because there is a reward structure inside of our society that puts the damaging and the harm to children and women at a higher standard than the harm to, like, a military-aged man. Now, in a general sense, I would agree with that in a peacetime reality, but whenever these people are launching rockets and large-scale invasions, I think that you need to look at this as a wartime event. And I would ask yourself, how many people got killed in World War II? How many people get killed in every single war? Civilian casualties and killing anybody who's not a combatant is a tragedy. It's a horrible thing to have happen. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have borders. And it doesn't mean that you can't make decisions to protect your own people, even if it comes at the expense of other people that are trying to do this in bad faith and use this. And by the way, the usage of people like this as human shields is a war crime in itself. And that's, I think, the biggest issue that I have with a lot of these people that are criticizing this, is that they don't...
Sometimes you gotta do war crimes to stop war crimes.
They don't give a shit about them. Like, these are the people they'll bring kids to an ICE protest. Why would you bring a kid to a protest where there's rioting and there's flashbang grenades and tear gas being set off? And the truth is, and there is a reason for it, the reason why they do that is because they want to use these kids and the harm that these kids will inevitably go through because of collateral damage, and they want to use this as a political tool so they can advance their agenda. These people they're sick. They're sick, evil people. And I also referred to the people that use the human shields as animals. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think they're fucking animals. If you use children as human shields in order for you to invade a country or in order for you to do terrorist attacks, I think that you're a fucking animal. And I'm not sorry for it. And I honestly
Unlike if you support the mass killing of children, in which case you're a very civilized, enlightened, intellectual, valuable member of society. That's actually, if you support the mass shooting of children for being present in an area, that's actually a very human way to behave.
Most people agree with me. I think that almost everybody does. But unfortunately, we've had this inversion of morality where these truly evil, malignant, pernicious people have been allowed to use this fake moral authority that they have to dictate that we have to allow terrorism, violence, and complete societal collapse. And if we don't allow this, somehow we're the ones that are evil. I reject this completely. And I understand that in doing so, there might be some people, this isn't a very comfortable thing to say. It's not a very polite thing to say. This isn't something that you'd read on a bumper sticker. But I think this is the nature of the world, and it's the nature of the reality that we live in. And I don't want to use a bunch of euphemisms and other types of vague and pacified language to discuss this in a way that is not authentic to its true harm and its true existence, which is what I think that's what it is.
Wow.
And I think that there are definitely criticisms people have of me that are valid, where like I probably do dial it up a little bit too much and maybe I could use different rhetoric, etc. But I want to let you know that I apologize for nothing. I meant exactly what I said.
So it's just like total bullshit. This is like pure lip service. Asmongold has said outright, literally these words: I'm an accelerationist. I take the most extreme position that I think will push society closer to the breaking point, because I think what comes next will be better, and that's the only way to fix things. He says literally those words. So it's just like total lip service. Literally can totally ignore it.
And I think that these borders should be defended with lethal force whenever it's being invaded by 40 to 60,000 people at the same time. That's an incredibly dangerous thing for all the people that live in that country. And I don't think that a government has an obligation to allow a bunch of invaders to pour over and potentially kill their own citizens. I find this to just be horrible. And ultimately, it should be stopped. Also, there are a lot of other patterns, like I'll give another parallel to this as well, is that in a lot of gang culture, what they do, and this is, of course, nothing like this is a monolith, but many of people like this, what they do is they'll use children to commit crimes because they know the children will not be sentenced in the same way that an adult will do. And what my biggest argument for all of this is that I generally, and I know people might not believe this, I think most people do believe this, but the people that don't like me don't believe this, or they don't want to, is that I think that I really do have the most moral and ethical position on this. Because the moment that you create an incentive, you also drive a behavior. And in my opinion, if you don't capitulate to this emotional blackmail, you also don't allow these people to target and victimize these children by using them as baggage and effectively shock troopers in order to accomplish a goal. So, for example, if these kids were being charged as adults, the entire tool that these people were using, these gangs were using of having children commit crimes on their behalf, this tool would effectively be rendered ineffective. But we don't want to do that because it makes people sad to put kids in jail. But from my perspective...
Oh, wait, is that what you said, Asmongold? You said detain the children. Sorry, I'm gonna have to...
Is shoot them, problem solved? That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot them. Like, I've said this before. Like, I know that it might sound...
Oh, now I'm a little bit confused because I thought we were talking about shooting the children, but now you're talking about detaining them. So I'm a little bit confused now. I'm a little bit mixed up.
The way that I see it is that it makes me sad to see kids that were abused, that are trafficked, and that are put into these situations because the people that are truly and profoundly evil, the people that know this, know that they can use these children because they can co-opt and use your morality against you so they can push their own evil designs. And I think that you do have to reject this in its entirety in order to have a society that isn't ruled by evil, inversion, and other types of just completely horrible people. And ultimately, you do have to sometimes make hard decisions like that, but ultimately making a hard decision like that should never have... that's my alarm. I was supposed to get up. It's 2:46 p.m. And so, excuse me on that. You do have to make these...
I love redefining the concept of having a conscience as emotional blackmail. This must be how he blew his mater up and left her rotting in his attic.
It's a Charlie Kirk talking point, by the way. It's Charlie Kirk's legacy there. People excusing the idea of shooting children because having empathy is emotional blackmail. If you see a child being shot and you think That probably shouldn't be happening. That's you being emotionally blackmailed.
These hard decisions. You do have to do things that are obviously, sometimes not the nicest things in the world. But I think that in order to do that, you do that in the goal to preserve a culture that is the best place that you want to live in the world as well. So that's the problem that I have. I don't think that I said anything.
Asmon was merely living his values by killing off his parents. As a result, they stop leeching off the welfare system of his success and wealth. W patricide, W matricide.
Thank you for the dono, thank you.
Wrong. I think that a lot of people actually would agree with me, and I think that the way that we've taken
at least he's
military action
consistent.
in the past,
At least he's
things like,
consistent.
for example, World War II, would indicate that actually this is not as much an objective reality that some people would make it out to be. And again, these are the same people that have no problem using children as props and having them, groomed by adults, about their gender, taking them to ICE protests, putting them directly in danger because there are rioters and criminals and violence there. Who would ever bring a kid there? And these are the same people that are saying that I'm wrong for saying that
Everyone who thinks I'm a bad person for wanting to shoot children, they actually want to trans kids. They actually want kids cutting their dicks off. Okay, man. All right, take it easy, bro. Take it easy. Don't know why these two thoughts got connected for you.
creating an incentive for people to human traffic children and use them as human shields is a bad thing. And so I apologize for absolutely nothing. I said it in a very abrasive way, and I'm going to continue communicating that way. It's how I was raised. The reality is that, I was driving my dad to the hospital. He was, getting one of his cancer
And you had very mentally healthy parents, as we know. Your mother who died a hoarder in an absolute shit show of a house that still, years after her death, you haven't cleaned up.
treatments. And he said, well, you know what's funny about this? And I said, what? And he says, well, now they can say you killed me too, just like they say you killed your mom. That's the way I grew up. That's the way I communicate. And that's the way I think. And I'm not sorry. And I understand that sometimes I use abrasive language. Sometimes I communicate in a way that's a little bit, harsh. And, people can say I'm mean. They can say I'm evil. They can say everything. But they're not saying I'm wrong. And I think that ultimately we should look at a lot of these uncomfortable truths.
Okay, well, I'm saying you're wrong. You're saying it should be stopped by any means necessary. It was stopped through necessary means. The vast, vast, vast majority, out of the however many thousands, tens and tens of thousands came over, there's only a few thousand remaining there. They mostly got returned. So it was stopped by necessary means. Didn't require shooting them. Didn't require shooting the children, actually, to fix this issue.
With a lot more of a clear mind.
So you are
rather
just
than
wrong.
allowing it to be polluted by by people that I think want to hurt us, people that want to put us in a position that is not advantageous. And that's the reason why I communicate the way that I do. It is hopefully to normalize this type of language and for people to see things for what they are rather than what they want them to be. And I think that's for better and for worse.
Guys, it's actually a learning.
So
You've
that's
actually
the
been
reason why
educated by Asmongold, okay?
I talk the
Even
way
he's
that
got
I
no
do.
fucking idea what's going
I'm
on.
not sorry. It's probably not going to it's probably not going to stop. I might try to I'm going to try to obviously tone it down a little bit because I don't want to get suspended all the time, right? Contrary to popular belief, it's great to have a vacation, but I don't want to have them all the time. And so, that's pretty much where things stand. That's the way that I feel. That's my reasoning for it. I view it as a trolley problem, and I think it enables human trafficking the moment that you capitulate to that type of emotional blackmail. So that's really the way.
Wait, that might have actually been a real moment and quote from his father. Anyone else notice his stance immediately shattered? Or is he just ulting for sympathy? First option is funnier if he's actually sad about them.
No, I think that was real. Thank you for $3.
Way that I feel, and I know this might be a harsh opinion, it might not be something that everybody agrees with, but I think it is the ethically correct thing to do given the the implications of doing otherwise. So anyway, that's the way that I feel. Now what's going to happen now? I'll probably file an appeal in a day or so. Hopefully I can get unsuspended earlier. I don't really know. I'll probably I can try to I wish I could just talk to them. It's really funny. So Twitch emails me and they say you had an accidental content violation because you accidentally showed something on your stream you shouldn't have showed. And they sent me an email for this. So I said, I respond back. I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And so then I get suspended for 2 weeks. No email. I don't have any email. So this is the funniest thing, by the way. I actually don't even know this is why I got banned. Twitch has never communicated to me what the thing is that I did wrong.
Okay, obviously, as much as I think, this probably is too far for Twitch, and it's totally reasonable for them to have standards where they're like, oh, you actually can't call for the mass killing of children on our platform. Obviously, it's always lame as fuck when they're not transparent and not clear with people they're banning about what the ban reason is. It's always lame as fuck. Even though, obviously, we all, Asmongold included, know exactly why he was banned.
Banned. I'm just guessing it's probably the thing that everybody was mad about, right? So, I don't know, maybe it's actually some other random clip that had nothing to do with this. But, you know, that's generally what my thinking on it is. Will I be back? Yeah, sure, I'll be back. It's been nice to have a little bit of a vacation. I've been stressed out about other, like, life stuff. I feel like I'm in kind of a position in my life now where it's like, what am I doing with my life? Where do I want to be in 5 or 10 years, right? It's like, you know, kind of midlife crisis type stuff I'm dealing with. I don't talk about this a lot on stream because it's stupid, boring, and it's also, it's...
Good to know you're struggling. Good to know you're struggling. I love hearing